You're listening to episode number 21 of the Wellness Real Estate Podcast. Today, I have Annie Daly on the show, and she's the author of Destination Wellness: Global Secrets for Better Living Wherever You Are. What I love about this interview is how Annie helps us realize that wellness isn't something you buy, it's something you create. It's a way of living and a way of being. There are so many different cultures around the globe that don't have all the material stuff that we have in the US. Yet every culture you will find people who are happy and fulfilled and love life. Yet in America, it's a common sentiment that we need something outside of us, something to buy that will bring us more wellness. And how does that relate to real estate? Wellness real estate is a $275 billion industry because developers are realizing that people want to live healthier. They want to live in communities that support well being. So, new communities that are designed with well being in mind are popping up all over the globe. As a wellness focused agent, you too can have an impact on your local community by creating a tribe of home wellness professionals that you can network with and refer out. You can share with your audience ways to live healthier and how to create a home environment that is more comfortable and joyful to live in. So, if you're one of those agents that wants to make a difference and you want to have raving fans or raving clients that understand you care about them and their families, it's because you've helped them with more than a real estate transaction. Then you're going to want to stay tuned to today's episode. Let's grow. Welcome to the Real Estate Marketing Podcast, where we explore a unique strategy no one is talking about that will enable you to engage more people with authentic conversations about your business more often. And it's called Wellness Real Estate. Not sure what that is or how it can help you as an agent? Well, that's what this podcast is all about. In fact, wellness real estate is growing so rapidly that it is projected to be nearly $870 billion by 2027. I'm Sheila Alston, and I'm your host. I'm also the founder of Healthy Home Media, where I help agents all over the country leverage this new trend in the industry to spark new conversations that will get people to listen to you and notice your brand. So if you're tired of spinning your wheels without any leads or sales to show for it, then stay tuned. I guarantee this podcast is not like any you've heard before. Welcome to the Wellness Real Estate Podcast. Okay, I'm so excited. Thank you for being here today. I've got Annie Daly here, and she has written an awesome book called Destination Wellness. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so I'm curious to know, you have such a unique perspective on travel and wellness. So why don't you just tell us a little bit more about your book and how you came about, wanting to write it?
Sure. So, so my book is called Destination Wellness, and it came out last May. So it's been out for more than a year, which is crazy to me. And it's basically about different healthy living philosophies from around the world. And I actually got the idea when I was working on staff at a wellness magazine a couple of years ago. And I was just getting like all of these products and things sent to me that's sort of sweet because it was nice swag, but it made me realize that the wellness industry has just gotten so commercialized. And so I also had a travel background. And so I decided to sort of put my wellness and my travel background together and kind of go out searching around the world for ways of living and ways of being that aren't so commercialized.
Yeah.
So that was sort of the inspiration for the book, was like working at this wellness magazine and realizing like, oh, there has to be a less commercial way to do this, because I don't think that wellness is something you can buy. I don't think it's something that is an easy fix by getting the latest top product or like going to the latest workout class.
True.
So yeah, so that was sort of the setup. And so I ultimately ended up going to 6 different places around the world. And they were Norway, Japan, Brazil, India, Hawaii, and Jamaica. Oh my gosh. Yes. So those were my 6 places. And basically, I don't know how you want to do this, but I took away a key wellness philosophy from each place. So if you wanted, I can just kind of run down those philosophies from each place. That
would be great. I mean, I do think that people keep, especially since wellness is such a big thing now in almost every industry. I feel like everybody's using it as a tag now, and it's so true. You can't just buy a cream or buy a something, or even if you just even if you followed a food plan, that's not necessarily going to guarantee that you're well. There's so many different elements that
Right.
go into it. So, yeah. So I'm just curious to know what you learned.
Oh, so many things. I mean, the overall theme that sort of like joined all of the different philosophies together is that it's really about going back to the basics. And that is not something that the wellness industry would like you to know because you can't
Mhm,
really sell that. But
mhm,
in all of the different places, it really is about hanging out with your community, spending time in nature, eating whole foods, going for a dip in the ocean, like being in around fresh air. Like these are all non non-commercial things.
yes,
And so
yes.
that's why we've gotten so far away from them because the wellness industry has taught all of us that we can buy these things.
Mhm,
So that's sort of the overall premise, but some interesting specifics. In particular, I really loved the philosophy from Norway. It's called Friluftsliv. It's spelled Fruluftsliv. And it basically, in Norwegian, it translates to the fresh air life. And it's this idea that is really, really firmly entrenched in the culture that you should spend out as much time outside as humanly possible. And that anything that you can possibly do outside, whether that's eating your meals, going to school, like they even have outdoor kindergartens, anything that you can do outside, you should do. And even if the weather is bad, they have this saying in Norway, there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. And so
Oh,
it's like, yeah, so like if
yeah,
it's raining, if it's cold, which it often is in
mhm,
Norway, just
mhm.
get the right gear and
Yeah,
just keep being outside. And it's all about just exposing yourself to that fresh air dose that, only natural air can provide.
yeah.
So I loved that idea because it's so applicable to urban living. Like I live in Brooklyn, in New York City, and a lot of these philosophies, like I would always ask the people I was interviewing, like, how can I apply this philosophy to my life in Brooklyn? Because, like these Norwegians were telling me that they go for hikes after work every day and that they spend all of their Sundays in nature with their families, like going for these, you know, epic outdoor adventures? And the answer was really encouraging. It was like literally just run your errands outside, like stop ordering things from Seamless, stop ordering things from Amazon. Like if there's a way that you can go to the bank and like cash your check in person as opposed to like doing it on your phone, like little things, like anything you can do to just get outside. It's so basic, but I loved that philosophy.
I love that too, and it's free for everyone, and everybody can do
Right.
it, right?
Right, that's the
So,
thing, and that's the secret. They don't want you to know that because then
mhm.
the industry isn't making money.
Well, there's this whole
Mm.
trend too of bringing the outdoors inside too. So, like,
Yes.
have more plants inside, have calming colors inside. I'm in California, so people love those giant doors that open up so you can have like an outdoor
Indoor,
living.
outdoor living.
Yeah,
Yes, that's
because we
like
all want
that's
to
the
be
dream.
close to nature. I mean, it's got a calming effect on you. So that's wonderful advice.
Exactly. Yeah, there was this stat that I stumbled across in my research that Americans in general spend 90% of their time inside. Which, I mean, if you're doing indoor outdoor living in California, that percentage is sort of skewed, which in for the
Mhm,
better.
mhm,
But for those of us like on the East Coast or wherever
mhm.
else where that isn't as much of a thing, it's like, yeah, you got to make moves to get outside.
Well, and I do think COVID kind of has put a spotlight on how much we are indoors, because then you're not even
Yeah,
going to work indoors. You're just sitting in the same house, in the same office, in the same chair all day long.
exactly.
Get up and
Yes.
stretch, take a break outside, go eat your lunch outside. And
Yeah,
yeah, breathe in that fresh air, because your inside air is going to not be as great as the outside air.
exactly.
Great. So then where'd you go next?
Okay, well, there are 5 more places. Let's see, which one do I want to spotlight? I really liked Brazil.
Uh-huh.
And the reason I liked Brazil is that a lot of people think when they think of wellness in Brazil, they kind of think of Rio and like the beaches and sort of the active scene there. And that is all well and good. I love that. But what I focused on in the book is actually this idea that many Brazilians think of wellness as a group effort, whereas in the US, we sort of tend to think of it as an individual thing. So, for example, like if I were to say, oh, I need to practice self care, like I need to go to my yoga class, I'm going to go on a walk by myself, I'm going to make this recipe. It's sort of like this thing that you do by yourself.
Mhm.
Whereas in Brazil, the idea is that in order to be well, the people around you have to be well as well. And it's a community effort, and everybody's actions like influence each other. And it's, the fact that I reported on this right before COVID was not lost on me, because then I think that during COVID, we quickly realized that all of
Mhm.
our actions do impact each other. And I really like loved that idea. Like they even have this word called saudade, and saudade is this idea that you love everybody in your community so much that the feeling of saudade is this feeling of like homesickness you get when you're not with them, because it's like
Mm.
it's so your tie to them is so strong, and it's like where all of your well-being comes from, that when you're not with your people, there's essentially like hardly a way to be well. Like it's like directly tied to your community and to spending time with your people. And so in order to translate that to sort of like everyday living when you're not in Brazil, um the takeaway for me is to sort of like think of all of your social friend dates and your family dates as sort of like as wellness dates, as opposed to just these obligatory things. Like, like how often do you look at your calendar and you're like, oh man, I have like 3 drinks dates tonight. I just have all these obligations, and you kind of like secretly want to get out of them, even though you know that they're like actually your friends. So if you reframe that in your mind and you think of that as like a date for your well-being, if you
Mhm.
remind yourself that hanging out with your people and doing these things is like directly linked to your mental health and to your well-being, it's like it's much easier to encourage yourself to go do those things and not bail and like not think of
Well,
it as this like obligatory thing.
yeah, but I do think that, COVID also shined a spotlight on that as well, because we're all then by ourselves in our house, and we're realizing
Right.
we really do need that interaction, that social interaction. And I do feel like so many people are looking for their tribe. They're looking for people that can, give you that sense of belonging and that sense of community with like-minded values and like-minded things that you want to do together. I mean, that's sort of what, I'm trying to create with wellness real estate. Is there's so many agents that are out there that are trying to bring more, I guess, wellness into the how they do business. And also,
Yeah.
and just knowing that there's other people out there that think like you, and to kind of create a tribe, if you will, of people that you can refer people to, and a network of other professionals that are doing sort of similar things. It's important to have those connections. So I love that.
Yeah, and it's cool to think of that as wellness, right? Because that's not necessarily something that is directly linked, I think, in the wellness space. Like it seems
Mhm.
like sometimes they're separated, and I really liked that idea that it's a direct correlation. And there was this man that I interviewed in Brazil, and he said to me, "I cannot be well if my family is not well." It's
Yeah.
like if somebody in your if your your parents or your uncle or whoever, if anybody is not well, it's like that impacts your well-being too, because you're all in this together. And
Yeah.
that element of community is so real, and it's just like you can't pay for it, you can't buy it, you have to cultivate it.
Yeah. Well, and especially, if you have children too, you're always, I can't remember what the saying is exactly, but it was like you always are as happy as your least happy child. So,
Yeah.
because everybody, it's like when everybody's happy, it's like, okay, well, that's good, you're good, but you're not good. So I'm not, I got to focus on why you're not good and how I can help you. And then that makes me not happy, and all of that. So,
Yeah, and that's sort of tied to what I learned in Hawaii as well. And what I focused on in Hawaii was sort of like the deeper meaning of aloha. And a lot of people, when they think of aloha, it's sort of become this commercialized word that represents escapism and this like tropical paradise. But actually, in reality, in Hawaiian culture, aloha really means love and empathy and connection. And when you say aloha to somebody in Hawaii, it's a really, really powerful thing because it means that you understand that everybody is connected. And
Mm,
so, like, they do, Hawaiians don't say aloha lightly. And it's sort of the same idea in Brazil in terms of that your community is everything. And when you realize that everyone is connected, it just has a direct impact on your own well-being because you have a deeper sense of your place in the world.
right. So then how do you bring that into your life at home? Just like you said, making sure that you still are reaching out to your friends and making those connections regularly.
Also, I think just a way of living with deeper empathy, like you know, it encourages you to treat everybody with more respect because you're connected to that person too. So whoever if anyone is going through a hard time or is coming to you with a problem or anything, like when you remember that you are a part of them,
Hmm.
that is a way to channel this deeper sense of empathy. The other thing that the big wellness takeaway for me was to not focus so much on timelines. Like, a lot of Hawaiians I interviewed kind of reminded me that this idea, like, I'm at the life stage where I'm in my late 30s and everyone's sort of just like, buying houses, having kids, like this. It's just like, this is the time when you do these things. And in Hawaiian culture, there's this idea that it's like the timeline is a very Western construct, right? It's like this whole idea that we have to do things by a certain time, that it's like, speaking of real estate, right? That there's like one right time to buy a house, one right time to have the kids. It's like when you adopt the Hawaiian way of thinking, you realize that actually, like, everything is happening at the right time for you. And it's sort of about trusting the process and not trying to go out of your way to force something into being that you think should be happening at a certain time just because it's happening to everybody else on this like societal timeline. And to sort of trust this really like ancient idea that the right things are going to happen at the right time, and those are going to happen for you at the
Hmm.
right time for you. And so it's just this idea. It's a very, very ancient, Hawaii is an indigenous culture, so these ideas date back thousands of years, and it's this idea that, yeah, that the right things are just going to come at different times of life for everybody, and
Well,
to sort of trust
it
that
takes
that's
a level of
okay.
trust. Like you said, it takes
Yeah.
a level of trust. But
Yep.
I'm of the belief that, whatever you believe is going to be true. So if you want to believe that the world is, you've got to like rush and work so hard and compete for everything and that, nothing happens unless you work super hard for it, then that's probably going to be true for you. But if you are of the belief that, I am enjoying this journey that I'm on. I'm enjoying life and I'm going to take every moment as it comes. And sure, I'm going to plan for the future. This is what I want, but I'm not going to have to. I mean, it's almost like if you are going on a travel, destination, do you have to map out every single turn you're going to take of your car? No, you're not. You just know where you want to go. And if you happen to see a great place to stop by, maybe you take a detour and you visit this town, or maybe you take a detour and visit this town, and then your journey is so much better than if you tried to map out every single turn and then you get stuck and you don't know what to do. So I like to,
Right.
yeah, I like to look at life as that. And I do think that you are rewarded. It doesn't have to be an ancient, philosophy to follow. I think that more people, you're just happier if you learn to trust that things will work out for you. And
Mhm.
sometimes you just don't know how it's going to work out, but if you can believe that it will work out, it usually does. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. It's like in Hawaiian culture, the word for your gut instinct is your na'au.
Mm,
And so it's about trusting your na'au, and like so many things in Hawaiian culture kind of revolve around this idea that when you trust your na'au, and when that means not trying to force things into being, when you trust that you'll be able to hear the signs from the universe that are telling you that this is the move for you, that is in direct alignment with your personal well-being.
That
And
must
it's
be
a hard
why.
thing to do.
Yeah, it is. But, that is probably why Hawaii in general is so calm, right? Like you go there because of that whole calming effect. And if most people kind of believe in that, maybe it has like an energetic or something.
Oh,
But yeah,
yeah.
because you
It's
do
like
get that
it's
sense of calm.
palpable.
Mhm.
It's palpable. I mean, among the Native Hawaiians specifically, but then also, just people who live there, it's like the ideas and the philosophies really spread, and you can feel it when you're there. It's like
Mhm.
everything, it's just like, just trust that things are going to work out as they should for you.
Yeah.
And I love that. And all of these ideas that I just talked about, you'll notice that they're all pretty like heady mental philosophies. Like
Mhm.
it's funny when people ask me to describe my book, I'm like, whew, okay,
Yeah, how much
get
time do
ready.
you
It's like
got?
not,
Right.
I know, it's like, it's not, they're simple takeaways, but at the same time, they have like really heavy and pretty heady backstories because a lot of them are tied to these ancient cultures. And it's important to understand the context of each culture to understand why these philosophies are still in play today, like thousands of years later.
Yeah.
Um, so I really love apply. It's like it's so mental, and you'll notice also like, can you buy the concept of like trusting your intuition? No.
No, you need to
So
learn to do that, right? But I do think
yeah,
it's just maybe becoming aware. So I don't want you to give away your whole entire book, so we'll have to read about the next 3 places, but,
yeah,
I just it is a sense of awareness of how are you living your life, and do you enjoy your life, and what is it that you do want to enjoy more of, and it's just setting the intention to do more of that. And I love that now, wellness travel is sort of a new, I guess, segment of travel. I think before people used to want to go to relax, but wellness was kind of an afterthought. You just pick a
yeah,
destination. But it seems like people are now actually choosing destinations specifically for, I mean, not just a spa or wellness retreat, but more of like even so much more camping and so much more hiking and so much more of that, car vacations are happening now. And people are
yeah.
choosing destinations to do more active things outside.
Exactly. And it also though it's like wellness travel to me is twofold because one, it's about going to all of these places and having these experiences like I did as I was reporting my book. But two, it links back to wellness real estate for you because it's like it's about the fact that no matter where you live, you can set up your home and your lifestyle in a way where you apply these global philosophies to your life
Mhm.
literally wherever you live and wherever you are. So it does get back to real estate in the home because I think a lot of people think that you need to move somewhere to have these specific lifestyles and these specific mentalities. But really, what I was saying in my book is that you can create this type of living wherever you live. It's just a matter of changing your mindset.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. It is true. I think people are always looking for something outside of them to fix the emptiness maybe that they have inside or that they just don't know. And you have to fix it inside by starting to become aware and have changing your mindset a little bit. But I love that you can create your own wellness and creating
Hmm.
that tribe around you and creating more, getting more outside, inside, and going outside and just being more active and
Right.
doing all of those things. And um, I love that. I mean, I haven't read your book
Yeah.
yet, but I'm so excited to read it.
Yeah. Well, there are many more philosophies in the book. So I'm excited for you to read it as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Annie. It was such a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for being on the show today. And I look forward to reading your book and learning about the other 3 places. What were the other places you went to that we didn't talk about?
We did not talk about Japan, India, or Jamaica.
Ooh, okay. I'm excited about that.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Oh,
thanks. Have a
good.
great day.
Okay. Thanks, you too. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed learning about what different cultures value the most. The best news is that it's not anything you can buy. You can find Annie's book, Destination Wellness Global Secrets for Better Living, wherever you are on Amazon or at anniedaly.com, which is ANNIEDALY.com. As a wellness focused agent, simply by sharing more of who you are and helping your clients live healthier, you are making a difference in the world. So many people are simply focused on transactions or sales or being able to say that they're number one. But when you can touch the lives of someone in your community, that's what they remember. I think the saying is, you don't remember what people say, but you remember how they made you feel. So if you want people to remember you, be top of mind, what are you doing today? How are you making people feel around you? Something to think about. Okay, well, enjoy your day. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you learned something new that will inspire you to think about your branding and how you can market yourself a little differently. If you enjoyed this episode, then you're going to love what I have for you, because you don't need to wait to go get extra certifications or to grow and expand your network to get started attracting those new leads right now. You can simply begin by talking about wellness real estate trends and what you've learned on this podcast with others. I mean, this is pretty interesting stuff that no one has heard about, and I have all the tools that can make it even easier for you. Wellness Real Estate Magazine is a brand new wellness lifestyle magazine, and it's the only magazine that brings health and home together. We educate readers on industry trends and how to create a healthier home environment, written by industry experts around the country. And we have 3 covers to choose from: Wellness RE, Healthy Home, and Wellness at Home, so you can easily find one that aligns with your unique brand and messaging. These magazines are the perfect done-for-you tools that help you not only stay top of mind, but they educate and engage your audience, which positions you as an industry expert. Differentiate yourself and grow your brand the easy way. Learn more at healthyhomemedia.com.